Hello and welcome to the part 2 of our Spring Hibernate based web application development. In this section we're going to take a look at the application architecture, which I have here in front of me. I have two views of the application over here. One is the architectural or the design view on my right hand side. On my left hand side you have the um, file or the folder view or the directory view of the application. As you can see, the application has a source directory and then it has a web content directory. Under source directory you have the Java classes or the packages such as the Spring MVC controller, the data access object package which has the DAO, IMPL and the DAO interface, and then you have the book which is the model or the domain object. Then you have the service package. There is also application context, message properties, and application specific properties in the source folder. There are some best practices as to where the application context and the message properties. Uh, there are other options to store them, and we can get into that at a later point. For a simplification sake, I have included them in the source folder for now. The web directory has the CSS, which is the style sheets, the web INF, and the views. We have two views in the application, which is add book and the list books. And then we have the Spring MVC servlet configuration XML and the Spring security configuration XML, and the web application configuration, which is in the web XML, and finally the index.jsp is where the landing page is for the application. From a design or architectural perspective, the application is looks on the way you see on the right hand side. I usually start from the data or the database side of things because everything starts and the data is one of the most important part of the application. So the database I'm using is MySQL. We have these color coding of these objects. The ones in the green are the objects or files that was created by me or for this application. The ones that are not green, which is either orange or white here, are objects that are part of the Spring or Hibernate framework. The data source object is a bean that is defined in the application context, and the entity manager is Spring injected with the data source bean, and the entity manager itself is Spring injected into the DAO class, which is Spring injected into the book service or the service layer classes, and the service objects are Spring injected into the controllers. So there is a series of Spring injections starting from data source to entity manager to DAO to service to controller, and some of these Spring injections are defined in the XML. Some of them are defined using annotations, and we will see how it is implemented when we take a look at these classes and files. So the section you see at the top here in the blue shaded area is the MVC part. The MVC part comprises of the dispatcher servlet, which is defined in the web XML file, and the requests come into the servlet is usually processed in the following sequence. The step 1 is the handler mapping. It uses the path, that is incoming path. It finds the dispatcher servlet finds the appropriate controller or the method that should be processing it based on the handler mapping that's stored, which again is read using annotations. We will be taking a look at that in detail when we get into further classes. And once it determines which controller should handle the request, it executes the method inside that controller, and then it finds out the result of the execution is the view. The view resolver is used to determine which view the result belongs to. That will be the step 3. And finally, the dispatcher servlet uses the view objects along with the model. The model, which is a result of the method execution and the controller, is applied on the views, and the resulting response is sent back to the client. So that is the sequence of the Spring MVC execution. You have the handler mapping, the controller, view resolver, and the views. In the top part, outside of the Spring MVC, is the Spring security part. The Spring security is a simple filter that is defined in the WebXML. The filter reads the Spring security configuration, which is loaded during the context. Listener actually loads the Spring security configuration, and the security filter acts or behaves based on the configuration defined in the XML file. So that is the complete end-to-end architecture of this application. This application will be a simple single entity or model application. We will not be looking at the relationship such as one to many to many, and those kind of things from a Hibernate point of view, which we can handle or which will be added in further tutorials. For this application demonstration sake, I am keeping it simple with one model object so we can demonstrate the flow of data from one end all the way to the other end, from a HTTP or browser request coming in, what are the different classes and the framework objects that is involved in storing and retrieving the data into the database. Thank you for watching. In the next tutorial, we will take a look at creating the domain objects and mapping it to the database, and we'll go on building each one of these green boxes that are part of the application, and we can demonstrate the fully working application once the whole exercise is complete. Thank you.